There's a picture of Alex from Sonolith. Somehow or another got a picture of him kissing Bobby's forehead. Now, first off, kissing Bobby's forehead is weird. Not sure why that's a decision, like an option. But secondly, it's weird that he had someone take a picture of it.
Yeah. This is S. Patrick Brooks with the Heavy Underground Farm Report, and I got John Gist of Planet Desert Rock Weekend 6 coming up. John, how are you doing today, bud?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's oddly raining in Vegas right now.
Raining in Vegas.
It's, we're not talking like a
clear and beautiful in Denver. I don't know, man. I haven't been outside for a while. I don't know.
It's a desert, so raining is always of note. It's a fucking desert, so
fair enough.
Rain. So it's
fair enough.
Yeah, clean.
So, bud, I was just out there last month, and you had the most beautiful weather for your festival, and I had the best time. So we're going to talk about Planet Desert Rock 6, obviously, and the amazing lineup that you already announced. But let's talk a little bit about what you thought about 5, and I'll tell you a little bit what I thought about it. But, man, tell me, John, what really went right for you for Planet Desert Rock 5 this time?
Oh, shit. What went right?
Yeah, I think what went that you're like, yeah.
Well, I was going to say more things went right than wrong, which is always a win when putting on a production, or start, you should say. But I think what went right is every band brought it. I mean, it was just really high-level performances. I think bands also, once they kind of see what happens in front of them, I think there's a certain mindset that you got to do, because I definitely heard that a lot from people. They really like the level of the music there and the musicianship, and along with the sound. So I feel like we do the scene very good justice with the sound, which is part of the experience. And with Vamped, it's got a great stage, so there's a lot of opportunity for movement from the bands.
Yeah.
I'm very honored to have a partnership with Counts Vamped and The Usual Place, and so
it's amazing.
That's where we'll be doing it again next year.
I know, I'm excited. Like, really, people, if you haven't been there, it's just the coolest rock club that I've ever been to. It's comfortable, and it's still rock and roll, and the food's good, and the bar's awesome. I don't even drink, and the bar's awesome. They had the best Red Bulls. They were good Red Bulls, man. But but everything was good there. And the outdoor smoking area was, wow, man, you got to be prepared for that. It was smoky out there.
What's funny is, it's Vegas, and it's not a cannabis lounge or anything. So, and they got security there, but
they're cool.
The security is worried about our safety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's the most important. I say this sometimes that when people have an inkling to smoke in Vegas anywhere, or, somewhere that's, you're not supposed to, but whatever. The cops aren't going to come running up to you. Hey, what were you smoking there, man? Because they're busy doing other shit.
Right. Right. More important things. Sure.
Shooting, stabbings, people driving over people. It's that back porch out there is, I mean,
it was great, man.
It does have an overhang, so it kind of can keep it in there. And of course, it's got the wall. But yeah,
it was fun. It was great.
Sometimes someone will pass you a joint. Period.
Yeah. I will not throw anybody under the bus, but who, if you smoked with me, and I smoked with a lot of you. So it was a great time, man. John, like you said, though, the level of the bands was just it's mind blowing. Like the last night was a great example. Like, you starting off with Jason Walker, and maybe a lot of people don't know who that is, and I wasn't really that familiar with Jason.
No, hardly anyone would know who Jason Walker is.
Fucking rips our faces off. The guy he's a great guy personally, and a performer. Just like it's Vegas, man. This guy is like over the not over the top in a bad way, but just like a real professional, a real like professional guy.
No, I mean,
there, right?
literally, he grew up in Vegas, and this is all he's ever done is music.
Yeah, it shows.
And yeah, I've known about Jason for and known him and been friends for like since not 10 years yet, but pretty close. Met him through Mike Varney, I believe, which is a friend of mine. He owns, Shrapnel Records.
Yeah, I got a brief chat with Mike Varney. It was super exciting. Yes, it was
awesome.
very exciting.
Good. He loves talking to people. He's a little awkward at the beginning, but man, you talk to him about music, he'll just start asking questions and he knows bands. I mean, he's been listening to this kind of music for way over a decade plus.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience just to meet him.
And to think he's working with Ingve. You know what I mean? A fucking psychotic Ingve, all coked up and fucking driving Maseratis around or whatever. And Varney is straight as an arrow. And he looks like Uncle Fester a little bit nowadays. And
I'm not going there, but maybe.
I tell it to his face.
I'm sure Mike Varney is not watching my show, but I'm sure he is watching you.
I'll let him know. We talked about him. He won't do it though. He won't watch shows. But he's such a funny guy, and very, very knowledgeable. I hung out this past Friday night, just randomly with Brian Schlegel from Metal Blade. Now he's lived here for a while, and I'm like, not really. I've only met him and talked to him a couple times, but he was back at VIP and he had Corey's table. And so I saw Reserve and I saw him go sit down. It was between sets. And I'm like, hey, good to see you, Brian. Oh, good to see you. He was really nice right off the bat, which he isn't always like disengaging.
Sure.
With me, we'll say. And I'm like, and I asked a question. I go, hey, can I sit down for a minute? He goes, yeah, come on. And me, him, and his buddy Scott, and we just kind of chopped it up for like 15, 20 minutes.
That's so cool.
Random stuff. It's neat when that happens.
All right, man.
I mean, that's the two biggest metal guys from the 80s. Metal Blade and Shrapnel were the record labels. Iconically just metal, or rock.
If people haven't been to your show, I think this is like what you're talking about here is like this is the kind of experience that people are missing out on or don't realize that they have an opportunity to experience.
Yeah.
And this is like a really casual environment with great bands and like really cool people from our scene or outside of our scene, maybe that level just above our scene. And these people it's very accessible too. You can say hi to people and it's not like, there's a bunch of people running around with security guards and stuff. But you talked about just telling story, just talking about other things in general. And for me, talking to everybody at the show and man, I wish we had more time or more bands or there was more time between bands or somehow we could
I wish that was more often could happen, but I feel very fortunate that I've cultivated that. And I also feel very fortunate that I get to go to something else, Ribblefest, and enjoy myself and not worry about production, all this other stuff, which, I try not to too much. If you strike with the right people in the right situations and you keep tabs. I mean, I'm drinking. And I'm not a guy who sits at home and drinks whatever, but when I'm at my festival, I have some drinks all along the way.
It's fun, man.
Yeah, but because I've had drinks and smoked some weed for a very long time. In social environments and in work-wise, there isn't a ton if you really don't try to micromanage. And so I'm honored to have and that's what you do is you work with people that are good. They don't need you to,
no, you were it was cool. I got to talk to you. You seemed like you were enjoying yourself very much.
Yeah.
And
I just hate to lose my voice. That's third day. It's just like, fuck, because, people pass me doing something and that fries my throat up and up. And of course I go to bed, after X amount of drinks and, whatever acidic effect in my larynx, and esophagus.
Dude, same thing from smoking. And man, I spent the whole time talking to people at Planet Desert Rock Weekend. Many cool people that I knew from Ripplefest and the first year that we went out to your show.
Mm-hmm.
and met a bunch of cool new people. And man, it was like, it was like I had a great time at Ripple Fest, and I had a great time the first time, but a month ago, dude, that's as much fun as I ever had. It was like so much fun. I had such a great time.
I'm gonna piggyback on what you said. Having a lot of representation from, let's say, the scene a little bit more. Meaning you were there, Scott Spires was there.
So cool.
Todd was there. Todd was there the first 2 nights.
It's so cool to talk to him.
Todd was there. Scott Hamilton was there, and just having the time, it was like he'd find some seat somewhere by the bar, and he'd always have a beer next to him, and just chalking it up from not Scott from Small Stone, and JJ. I mean, I was JJ. JJ shows up. JJ, you're back at this VIP thing. Whenever you want to chill, this is like, I'll call this the press area back here.
Yes, thank you for the press area, by the way.
Yeah,
I enjoyed my time in the press area. And I got to have lunch with JJ, and that was like, he's fucking the coolest dude. It was great. Yeah, Sage and JJ and Andrea and I went out, and it was like...
That's right, you went to Arts District?
Yeah, it was so cool,
Love that area.
We had a blast.
Yeah, that's where Last Call was gonna be until the venue closed.
Yeah, we saw the venue. Sage showed us where it was. And
yeah, they just stripped it down to nothing the other day. But yeah, the social aspect of having, these people that we're finally meeting, and then we all have these things in common. I think it's a really neat synergy, and it gives us a social outlet that maybe life doesn't always present us not everyone. Like me, I go to live shows all the time, and I don't have kids. I don't have time restrictions currently, and stuff like that. But for others, it's a party with great music. Like you listen to music, and you just hang out and party. And before this, people start early. I'm like, God damn. I'm like,
no
Jesus.
Doubt.
Wait,
but John, like the lineup's so good, you don't want to be late. You show up for the first band at your gigs.
Barney got so fucked up in the middle of the day on Friday, he missed the whole show. And they were hanging out down in Fremont Street. His brother, and I think he said he had a buddy from out of town. And I'm like, damn, dude, you missed Germ. For God's sake.
We had a psychedelic experience during Sergeant Thunderhoof, and then missed the next 2 bands because it was like, So I get the partying too much. That's been a long time since that happened. But Sergeant Thunderhoof was like a religious experience. It was like,
yeah, you were up like on shrooms or acid?
Yes, it was amazing. Wow. So one of the guys from I know one of the bands and I and Andrew, it was like, all right, man. Sergeant Thunderhoof seemed like I saw them like on a different planet altogether. So that was so badass.
You saw them as a sergeant on another planet.
Like one of the great concert experiences. I loved it.
Yeah, Dan's such a good singer too, and he was a little sick. He was sick leading up to that a little bit. Like, you're fighting the shit out of this stuff. And he did amazing. I feel so honored to have like singers like him, like in particular him and Carlos Apelmo from Germ. I mean, that's really
So I was sitting next to Doug Taggart from Luna Soul during Sergeant Thunderhoof, and the set ended, and he turned to me and he grabbed my arm and he was like, "I'm going to go buy every single one of their albums, and that dude is my new favorite singer." And it was just like,
didn't even know about him. Right?
He didn't. He never. He was like, I just thought it was some. I thought it was some band with a stupid name. And he was just blown away, man. It was so cool. It was so cool to get that like very honest reaction. It was my reaction to Solus. Like I had listened to Solus, but I was like not prepared for their live show, and it like was one of my favorite sets of the whole.
It was one of my favorite as well. I'd never seen them. They've been around forever.
They were good.
I really didn't. Other than the last album, I really didn't do that deep of dive and very regular listen to any of their older stuff. I kind of came in on even that album with a little bit of knowledge.
Same. Yeah.
But when I ran into Solace the first time, he was like at this time when I was really digging into the scene early, before I even had my footsteps in understanding anything. And so they got caught in the wash, basically. And man, a little bit before I booked them, I went back and, put on Spotify, put it on shuffle and go. And man, the old stuff was so good. And I already know the new singer's good because I like the album he's on. Like, I like that album probably the most.
He was great.
But the old ones, great vocals as well. I mean, they're stoner metal more so. They a little metal, In the watch,
they were probably the most metal band that you have there, don't you think? Yeah. And it was, man, they fit in great though, and it wasn't, it wasn't some weird dive into Cookie Monster lyric, vocals or anything. It was the guy is a great singer from Solace, and man.
That was good.
So
right after that was the Watchers.
Yes,
and
they were fantastic. Yeah, man, and I didn't realize that the singer was the same guy from
Spiral Arms.
Yes, thank you, Spiral Arms.
Yeah,
exactly.
Tim Narducci.
So good, man. He's a great frontman.
Spiral Arms. The show they did was just a reunion show for me. They're not even active.
Well, we were like,
you know what? They're active.
Yeah. Well, Spiral Arms, that was like a special deal, So it was like one of those. Yeah, I was there for that. Like me and like 4,000 other people. It's like, you guys weren't all there.
One thing I do like about the festival is it's not too big. It's kind of important too. It being comfortable. Yeah.
Do you have concerns, John, that maybe just the lineup, like, I know you probably have a set amount of tickets, but do you worry that you might like outgrow Vamps?
Not yet, I don't.
Okay. Cool. I'm glad.
Yeah, I got room. Yeah, I got room. This place hold a lot more than what we I've been in these places when there are no tables.
Yeah, okay.
That's what they do.
All right, man. Well, cool. Well, I say we pack it in. It's just going to be better anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's this past year. It's the things that stand out for me is the bands were so good and the fan engagement. It's a lot of people I know. A lot of people you can just I take deep breaths and look around sometimes. See what's going on. Not just look for someone to go talk to, but just take it in. It's a good feeling seeing people have a good time. I mean, that's really part of the whole thing, right?
Yeah, man. Well,
I sat there and watched Germ. I went up to one of the tables where someone was sitting at a table, but they went up, closer to the stage. And I just, sat there for a while and be like, hey, I'm just watching your place. And I just kind of took in watching that band, a band that I had a visualization of hope of getting them here. And they don't do a lot of shows, period, much less never done
international, right?
And they were so tired and like dragged out. They were hanging out in the VIP area in the booth next to, because I tell bands, and they were just like slugs. I was kind of like, God damn. At some point, I said, listen, get a Red Bull vodka, one of those old drink. I go, then you don't. You don't get one, but and so those fuckers, they ordered 2 of them right before they went on stage. And and the waitress comes over and goes, they're not there, they're on stage now, but you're paying for them, whatever. I'm like, what? And she's handing them to me. I'm like, I don't want that. What am I gonna do with these? I said, put it in the back in the green room, so I'll be sitting there waiting for them. They'll be happy to see it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man.
But, they're like, oh, you got the drink order, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I did. And we all laughed about it. But seeing them on stage, I mean, I thought the lighting person did a good job of keeping it down more also, which is something I whispered in the ear of. It doesn't mean they always do it. And because their music's moody, it's dark at times.
Right, very atmospheric, absolutely.
His singing, God.
But that's
crazy.
Like, I remember looking at you during that set, and I just was nice to see you so happy. It was like,
probably had a fake pen in my
bud,
hand
you were
going,
like,
"Ah."
yeah.
Oh
It's like, this is what I told everybody about. And you could just see the crowd was like, yeah,
yeah.
but it was good. It was
I
cool.
try not to look at it as a "I told you so" moment, but
Oh, go
it's good
ahead.
to see a
Go ahead. You told us
visualization.
also. You were right. It was awesome.
Yeah, well,
And
yeah.
somebody has to, you know what? And honestly, I don't think that's a negative. It's like you're a really good resource for people in the community, as far as introducing people to new bands and new music, or music that's really not new but nobody's heard yet. Iona was a good example. Obviously, the band we were just talking about, Germ, was a good example of that too. So you do, like, man, when you listen to music, how do you split up your listening? Because you're a Doom chart guy, so you listen to a lot of new stuff. And you obviously have deep roots and old stuff and listen to it because I see what you post online. So is that a conscious thing or do you just go with the moment?
I'd say more the system that I have mostly in place. We'll say doesn't mean always, but the default system for me is I do a certain amount of exploring, and sometimes that's just through Doom charts stuff sent to us, and then bands sending me things, or
Yeah,
me keeping up with what's coming out that I already know I like the band, so I'm willing to at least give it a shot right off.
sure.
Um, and so I get a certain amount of them, promo, MP3, whatever, and download my computer, my iTunes, and then sync my phone up with new music, and I rotate stuff out. And I have things on there
Ah,
that have been on there for 2 years at times, but I listen, uh, and it's I put on shuffle a lot of times, and then I'll venture most of the time. But when I get newer stuff, I'm like, all right, I got to give it the full listen, at least
yeah,
once. And so I try to do that with a certain amount of bands, but I do sampling beforehand, meaning I'm listening to it on Bandcamp a little bit, and
yeah.
I'm picky, man. So I'm not trying to. I mean, there's a lot to explore, and I'm just not trying to go into things I don't really want to listen to.
Yeah,
Again,
you know what?
it's just
That's
not my thing. Nothing wrong
no.
with it.
It's funny. I have like a group of about 4 or 5 people, and it's like if I'm looking for this or that, I have a go-to person. So if I'm going for really hard driving, good rock bands with good vocals, yeah, I'm looking to see what you're listening to. It's like, what's John listening to these days? Let me
That's
go
cool.
check that
Thank you.
out.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
no, I love it's just seriously, man. So speaking of good bands with good vocals that fucking kick ass, I have the band list in front of me so far for Planet Desert Rock 6. And man, I mean, I have my tickets. I'm buying my tickets for the last call next week, buddy. But like the list is insane. I can't believe I love the Atomic Bitchwax, man. So
Cool.
amazing addition. But like I'm going down like Freedom Hawk, man. Okay, cool. My second time I'm gonna get to see Freedom
Right.
Hawk. Throttle Rod. Like I wasn't even aware of Throttle Rod until I read Sunil Singh's book. And he loves that band. And so it's
yes, he
like,
does.
so I've listened to him and they
Yeah.
kick ass and he's right. And
Yeah.
so it's like, are you kidding me? Heavy Eyes, Swan Valley Heights, man, High Desert Queen, The
Got to bring
Well. It's just,
Ryan and the band back. Yeah.
I'm
Ryan. I mean,
excited.
yeah. I mean, there's some of the bands we know and we've seen. Have you seen The Well?
No, I haven't. And the Well is probably the one band on the list that beside maybe Isaac and Phantom Hound, and I don't know much about Mooch either, but I am aware of the Well, but I don't think I've ever spent any time and really listened to the
Okay.
Well. So I will be now, obviously.
Yeah. 3 full albums. And I've seen them live like 5 times now.
Oh,
So
okay,
I've
awesome.
seen it at Ripple Fest, the very first Ripple Fest, like opening night or pre-night that he did, meaning the first time he did the festival a few years back. The Well was the headliner that night, and I've been a fan of him even before that. So
Okay,
saw him that night. I'm like, damn, And then I've seen the
cool.
Ripple Fest since then. But then I saw him here in Vegas. They were on tour with Value of the Sun and Heavy Temple, and
Yeah, I missed that, and yeah, I'm
what a
disappointed.
yeah,
No,
that's a
no,
hell
no,
of a
no. I didn't miss that.
oh good.
They didn't play that show in Denver because I
Yeah,
interviewed Valley of the
yeah.
Sun
They
at that
weren't on
show.
tour with him. Get
They
this,
just happened to be there.
Yeah,
That's
basically,
bad. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool.
yeah. Anyways, and I hung out with Ian for about like 20 minutes before the show, just sitting there. I saw him and I know him enough to say, hey, what's up, Ian? Hey, what's up, John?
Oh, right on.
And we just hung out and just talked about music a little bit and things like that. And
I
super
love it.
chill. It
I
comes
love
from a family of musicians, and that's the guitar, sing writer, writer as well,
Yeah. Okay.
songwriter. So, but he does good harmony vocals with Lisa Alley, who's like an Energizer bunny on that stage.
Right on.
Just they're all really good on stage as well, and their music is really meant for a good darker room with some psychedelic
Okay,
flashing.
cool. Well, right on, man. That sounds
Yeah.
like my kind of jam for sure.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
I,
They're
I
great.
like, I've talked about this before, but one of the things that I like about Ripple Fest or Planet Desert Rock Weekend is that bands show up on the list that I'm not familiar with. So it's a good reason to get familiar with the band before I get to see them live.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, man, like the Well, I'm super excited that for the next 10 months or so,
Yeah. You got
I
a
can
while.
take a deep dive. Yeah, and it's cool. And like deeper into these other bands, man. What, so you started thinking about these bands even before Planet Desert Rock Weekend 5, I'm assuming. I mean, this didn't come up in the last 2 weeks.
No. Yeah. It's when I do like projects or part of something, I tend to think about it a decent amount, we'll say. And so I kind of try to come up. There's a little bit of a vision that's natural while some evolves, uh, by what's happening. And so, yeah, I'd say I have a big long list, but every year I write a new list. And I may look at the old list first before I write the new list, but most of I know most of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of there. And then, things happen along the way. We take creative chances, like
Sure.
Spiral Arms was completely random. And Tim's like, you know what? We all been talking lately, so that might be cool. I'm like, really? Cool.
That is
And like,
cool. It's cool for us.
yeah, and the Jason Walker thing, I was just me and him hanging out, riffing, and I just came up with it. And seemed to go on pretty good because he was invited off of that to play House of Blues this Friday on my birthday. 4 bands. It's a grunge fest. And so he's opening as the Soundgarden one, of course. And then there's an STP one. There's a Pearl Jam one that is amazing.
All right.
This guy nails Eddie Vedder.
Cool.
And they sound good. And then there's a Nirvana one, which is the guitarist from Jason Walker's band. We just saw.
Yeah, that guy's good.
He's a lefty, blonde.
Fuck, he's good. Yeah, dude. Of course, it totally makes sense. Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah, he did a show, like a couple-year production show called 27, even here in town at the old Hard Rock. So, that's going to be one of those interesting nights. But he was able to. They were that good that a guy I knew put together the whole thing and said, "We got to get them on." And so, I think that could be potentially something they get to do some along the way and hopefully make some money at the same time, quite frankly, because as someone who's around a lot of musicians, and it's a pro town, this isn't,
Right.
I mean,
it's different in Las Vegas. It's very different in Las Vegas.
I mean, the professionals, like literally you can get on to jobs making $1,000 something a week doing music. So, it has that opportunity. Blue Man Group, hell, I've met like half the drummers and musicians there. They play at Vamp sometimes in these
cool
jam session stuff. I mean, that's what they get to do for a living. You know what I mean? That's a professional musician more than anything. Versus, a musician that writes music and, maybe and sometimes plays live. Yeah. And so we have the interesting mix here where there isn't a lot of original great music here at all. Yeah. Really. Like our bands don't even get popular here. They just blow up and then go elsewhere. Like Imagine Dragons is from Vegas. The Killers is from Vegas.
That's crazy. Yeah, I see it. I see it though. And yeah, I mean, Las Vegas is like, it's an interesting place to live, John.
It is. It is.
Yeah, I think
No different anywhere I've ever lived.
yeah, it's like a very interesting town, but it's definitely a fun place to visit, man. So,
Well, let
but
me ask you, what
yeah,
was your biggest surprise this past year for you? What band was the biggest, like, expectations were good, but then they far exceeded it?
well, well, we already talked about Sergeant Thunderhoof, and they would certainly be in that.
Your expectations
But
probably
I will
really
tell you a
good.
band that I had no idea who they were, and their album became one of my favorite albums of the year. And they're playing at your festival, and I'm not just like fucking saying this because they're playing at your festival, but Huanastone, man, like that band, like fucking just like I think it was Jamie Van or somebody posted their album at one point. Somebody I respected their musical taste, and it could have been you, absolutely. And yeah, that one just like got into me.
It's really good.
Like Cyclona's album, that was my favorite album last year, and like that album was like kind of next level shit though. It was like, oh, these guys seem like they're better than all the other bands on the scene. It was like wow, the recording quality here and like what they're doing and the guitar fills and the vocals and like and I exaggerated. Sergeant Thunderhoof's album was like in that same kind of range for me too, man. Like but yeah, like out of just nowhere, totally surprised. And then fuck, dude, Sergeant Thunderhoof, like I knew they were good, but like I guess I didn't know that they were as good as their new album was going to be.
What was your favorite set opening night, Thursday night? Want me to name the bands?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, go ahead because I'm
Samaveo.
that was so good.
Samaveo, Sons of Arrakis, Mr. Bison, and then Unita.
So, Sons of Arrakis were like, yeah, that was like, yeah, but that was my favorite band of the night. They were one of my favorite sets of the whole weekend. Like, that guy can fucking sing, and the band was into it, and they had a really cool, like, Dungeons and Dragons-y kind of like vibe or so. I don't know, man. Like a
Arrakis.
Like, yeah, well, like right.
Boom, man.
Yeah, so like it was fucking badass.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bison was like I really love that band, so that was a big time. But like I didn't really know Sons of Arrakis that much. I mean, I know their album was big, and I'd listened to it a few times.
Both
but
albums.
Like, yeah, and I've listened to the first album too. It was like, oh, I should go back and listen to that. So
yeah, it's not hard. Yeah,
and then, man, the first band, the German band Samaveo, was like, man, the quality of band, like when you start off with a band that good, it's like we're only gonna have 4 bands tonight. Shit.
Right.
But those first 3 bands, and then United was great, although some fatigue was starting to cut in. That first night with travel and stuff, and we stayed for the whole thing, man. But like, I just think by that time I was like, oh shit, I've traveled and like I fucking didn't sleep the night before, and like,
right.
But like stellar musicians and just they just jammed and had fun, and yeah, it was cool, man.
They just really bring it. And Arthur's just such a good live guitar player at that.
Yeah, he is.
And I thought Sunshine did a really good job on vocals, maybe the best I've heard him. And I think he's always been good, but a next level on this one. And so it was really cool. Odd note here, a Tuesday night before the festival, Mark stayed at my place.
That's cool.
Place to crash. And so we hung out for a day, basically. Yeah. So it's interesting to get to know someone when you hang out with them for a day.
Yeah.
Mark's
once again, people, those opportunities actually exist at Planet Desert Rock Weekend. Like people are really cool. You just never know who you might get to have lunch with and stuff. That's super cool.
Bobby Liebling showed up at night 3
before he was a meme.
Before he was a meme. There's a picture.
Well, at least before he was that meme.
Alex from Sonolith, somehow or another got a picture of him kissing
his
Bobby's forehead.
I know, it's a great picture.
First off, kissing Bobby's forehead is weird. Not sure why that's a decision like an option. But secondly, it's weird that he had someone take a picture of it.
Dude, Alex is the funniest guy.
No,
We
he's
hung
funny
out
guy.
quite a bit at the shows, and
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
he just had me laughing the whole time. I love Sonolith, and those guys are all super cool.
Yes.
And but dude, that picture
Bobby.
just makes me laugh so hard.
Yeah. Bobby was there, and so was Henry Vasquez was there actually the previous night as well. And Henry Vasquez is the drummer for Pentagram, and also the drummer was for St. Vitus and was.
Oh, I didn't get to.
Skull.
I missed out on that.
This guy's
that's cool.
there's even more bands. I could keep going. This guy,
It's so
Blood
cool.
of the Sun. He was in that band. Yeah, total pro.
Right on.
I thought he was gonna. Yeah, I won't even bring that story up. But many years ago, I saw Henry in a green room situation that was just tense. That's all I can say. Fucking tense. But I saw him and I was hanging out with him this past time and just yucking it up, having a good time. You know, he had been drinking tequila, whatever the fuck it was he was drinking that night. And yeah, he was with a chick too. And he's like, "Hey man, the next night, it's all right. We come." He goes, "I might have a friend or two." I go, "Who the fuck are these friends?" Whatever. He's like, "You'll be all right with it." I'm like, "All right, whatever." You know what I mean? Like, what am I gonna,
It's a man.
A lot of people try to get him for free. And come on, what? I don't get it. Why don't you want to give it to the cause? You know what I mean? I'm not fucking a millionaire. Fuck you. Help me out. I'm not joking. I'm just having fun with you.
Dude.
Like Henry was, but it was like, yeah, okay, sure.
Hilarious.
Next thing you know, he's at the front door with fucking Bobby. and someone goes, "There's a guy up front you need to see real quick. He mentioned something about something." I go, "Oh shit."
It was crazy.
I'm in the middle of probably watching a band.
Dude, it was crazy seeing
go
that
out
guy
there. And there they are hanging out. I'm like, "Oh, for God's sake, let them in." Oh no. I'm like,
fucking
this
wild.
guy's a legend. But no one knows. But the security people, they don't know shit. They don't know these people.
And everybody
he wasn't
on this.
A meme yet. If he was a meme, he'd walk right in.
Dude, he would have just had.
Right. They'd have to have a fan blowing on a handheld fan.
So it's been funny at work. Some guy at work was like, "Have you seen this meme?" He's like, "That's like the music you listen to, right?" I'm like I haven't met that guy. I met that guy last month.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, yeah, it's
the year before Jakey Lee was there.
I know, and yeah, exactly.
Not been shot yet by some fucking thugs.
Dude, that whole story is just fucked up. Yeah,
good, but his dog, I think, didn't get hit or fine.
All right, man.
Anyways, random events, can happen at Planet Desert Rock. Yeah, and we hope to deliver, good sets of music along the way with a lot of bands that will hang out most of the festival or part of it at least, because they dig it.
But
it's free for them, so I'm like, come on.
And I don't want people to think like I'm name dropping because anybody could have gone up and talked to any of these bands, but it was super fun to like Valley of the Sun. So I bought their new album. I've been waiting to buy it from them in person. And Chris, or Johnny, the drummer's like, "Do you want us to sign it?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, fuck yeah, of course I do. Who wouldn't want that?" And they're like, "Well, let us tell you a story." They're like, "We were in Germany and we made the same offer to this guy," and he was like, "Nah, I'm good." It's it's just this hilarious story and interaction, and it's cool just that those guys are so down to earth and you can talk to people like that. So
yeah. I think usually it's that way. I've had maybe, I've done this thing now 5 times. There are a couple musicians that really don't want to hang out much, sure. But most of the time, and they're at a certain level a lot of times. So, but it's funny is I went back VIP after Fall By Ministry and hung out with them. I just hey, is there any beer back here? Yeah, it's, and hey, how you doing? And we talked. I already knew them some. They began with it. Jim and I met couple times, like 2018, 2017, something like that. Psycho Vegas even. So, and then another night
Was
they
there?
played with Red Fang and All Souls
Oh,
at Beauty Bar once. And so yeah, anyways, and I'm honored. I mean, Fireball Ministry, I mean, there was a zero disappointment level. Everyone was like, God, that was good. They might be a little older, but they bring it. I mean, they really brought it.
absolutely.
I mean,
Dude,
like if they came out, they did like 2 more songs. They did Turn to Stone, the Joe Walsh one. Wow.
yeah, I
I mean,
know.
they've done that before, and I was just like, man, that'd be super cool if they did.
Joe Walsh, yeah.
Just like I dropped it, the throttle rod. I'm like, oh, Black Betty. You don't even know.
What was so, John? What was the highlight band for you then? For the whole weekend, like just like you were like, fuck yeah, I'm glad I had those guys here.
Germ.
Yeah, cool.
Germ, but Sergeant Thunderhoof is a close second.
That was amazing.
They really are. Yeah.
It was.
They really are.
I mean,
So,
I know I was maybe my experience was enhanced a bit, but that was like a religious experience. Like that guy singing and the lights and the guitars, like and I can't emphasize enough how good the sound was. Like
yes, it
like,
matters.
but it felt like I was in a studio or I had a headphone. Like it was just like you could just clearly pick out each instrument.
Yeah,
clearly hear the vocals, and the sound guys just killed it, man.
and the system is just really, 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 really good. And that sound guy didn't even know our music. It's so funny.
It was amazing.
But here's the key though, is he knows the system. So he knows how to make that puppy run. And that's matters as much as knowing our music. I've been able to kind of understand over time. But if you can go the opposite on Saturday, where Patrick, who I bring over, he from LA, he does sound some of the time at Whiskey. And he's been on national act tours where he's like road manager and sound guy. And he unfamiliar with the system, and we brought in I rented a backline from a place I trust, a guy that also does sound. And man, he just gets in there, and he's got they got the little mobile thing, so he could just start doing stuff out in the crowd where he can really balance it out according to where you're at. And he tunes it up. Like people rave about it every time. I haven't asked, but I'm pretty sure he'll be doing it hopefully again. And he comes sometimes the night before and catches the music too. And Patrick likes this kind of music as well.
Yeah, cool.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's important is that it sounds good. and
it's hugely important.
Venues,
it's hugely important.
And these venues have the capabilities. I think that's what I'm going to pride myself the most in of all the festivals and so on. It's intimate, but you're going to get the best sound. Outdoors can be, different. I mean, that's just the way it is for all of us. And I love being a good outdoor one. Don't get me wrong, but this is more of a contrast, never a comparison, because they're different beasts.
No, exactly.
And it just gives you this warm atmosphere of music just kind of coming at you and surrounding you.
I think
there.
I think it's you make that important distinction that it's not a competition, but it's like both of those experiences are very unique and amazing. Hey man, so if you don't mind, I just want to ask what your thoughts are on Desert Fest New York City not having a festival this year. To me, that's kind of like I just want to hear your thoughts.
Man, I was surprised. I know Reese really well. Just over the years, we've talked business and done some stuff together. And Steak played Planet Desert Rock 3 the same year as High Desert Queen did. And but I hadn't really had like some deep chatters with him for a while about the fest. And so Ryan had, it sounds like, and really just got that vibe that might have to pull the plug on it. And that's all I know. My read is that it's probably going to be the devil's going to be in the details of the overhead there. And New York City obviously does you no favors.
Sure.
of the cost. Like, you know what I mean? You have to
Yeah.
overcome a very large cost, the rental fee, the rent the place he's using. Then you start adding up all the band's cost
Yeah.
and advertising and everything else. So, you know, you do a balance sheet of sorts, you know, cost versus revenue opportunities. You know,
Do you
you
think?
get really organized. You write down some calculations, you know, potential forecasting.
Yeah.
But you know, on the other side, you got it's got to make sense that you spend this amount, you're going to make this amount back.
So do you think, like, and I don't expect you to know the answer to this, but maybe just some speculation. Do you think that New York City has an expectation for a certain level bands, and some of those bands have priced themselves out of the market for the amount of people that event can reasonably draw?
Yeah. That's going to be a key factor in all this is the cost. So we watched many of us that have been in the scene for 8-10 years and been involved with some of these things, or you know, at least follow the bands. Bands we've cultivated, you know, came from our scene. They get to a certain level and they're out, and
Yeah.
their numbers go because they get a management company. And I think sometimes they look at what they get for the European shows and they try to get similar to US, which makes no sense. We don't have the market,
Oh,
period in a sentence. And so some of these bands you'll notice will probably not be on, I want to say the big four for now, but there's obviously other ones. But, you know, they're not going to be on Maryland
right,
Doomfest or
right,
Ripple Fest or
right.
me or
Or New York City.
Desert Fest is the one that, you know, I know that they've gotten some, you know,
Yeah,
at a
like
higher
last year
level,
they
but
had the Melvins and Boris,
yeah,
and these are like really,
and Melvins are expensive. So now, was it
absolutely.
worth it? I don't know.
Well, I
That's
love the
key.
Melvins, but I don't know if they're worth it for that either. And you know what?
No,
I'll tell
it's
you.
all
I'll tell you.
forecasting.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all this, you know what I mean? And so I got caught up my second year and I lost tens of thousands of dollars. And I actually turned around and did one 6 months after my first one. That was a bad mistake to begin with. I was just like high on the ether of doing a fest.
Yeah.
And I overspent and got too many bands and paid for all kinds of stuff that, yeah, and I got destroyed. You know what I mean? And, you know, our aspirations are bigger than the logic behind the math. And so that's what can get all of us. You know, Ryan can share with you the, you know, years 2 or 3 or both, whatever, that were, you know, humongous. Like, what was the one band he brought? It was before your time, but he brought in.
Wasn't it like was it Queens of the Stone Age or
No,
something?
no, I
Was it?
wish it was the other. It was the band Jesse's in.
I know that they've had some pretty like. Oh no, I'm thinking it's not that. It's was it
It was the band that was in this that literally was victims of the shooting in Bottle.
Yeah, I know that. I can't think
Yeah,
of they're the Eagles of Death Metal.
there it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that's a Josh project too, right? So
not really. I mean, yeah, he knows
sort
him
of,
and he's done some songs with it, but it's Jesse Hughes, and it's a really good-looking girl on stage too, playing bass.
I really dug their first stuff.
But I mean, that cost a lot,
right?
And so, just like when Psycho decided to add like a dude from Wu-Tang a couple times, my immediate business, forget that I don't like rap. Wu-Tang, Word, I don't care. I know they're one of the better bands from that era. I just don't care. But from a business standpoint, what I immediately thought of was how many new fans are they going to bring in and how much are they paying? Because if, let's just say they got paid 100,000, I mean, how many people decided to go to a Stoner Rock Fest because of the dude from Wu-Tang? And I don't know if that number really works. Maybe they're hoping that's the one that puts them over the edge. We were thinking about going to psych. So when that kind of stuff happens, it's, you know, you got to replay the tape later on, but you got to really think about it harder then. And so I think that's the tough part. We all get
so
large admirations. And so that's when I went.
So, do you think you
No.
like have found this sweet spot for the scene? Because you attract bands to your festival that people really want to see, but like it's not Fu Manchu, and it's okay because man,
Right.
I don't really want to pay $500 to come and see your
I would.
festival,
Yeah.
and like if the and like
I tried Fu
do
Manchu.
you do you think you've like do you look at it that way? Do you think you've found a certain kind of band that like fits your size of festival? Like, do you think you've kind of
Well,
like dialed it in and you know what
nah,
who to?
I would. I'm not that comfortable. Really ever. Now, I feel what you're saying, and I do feel there is. I guess I just have a certain vision of certain kinds of bands that I think are really good. That people know, but maybe not everyone knows, and really probably more people should know, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, but when the bigger bands, I'm very risk adverse because I don't have much money left to do that. So this has to be, is something that makes sense over in an overall arching way, but yet still have creativeness to it. Um, I just feel really good about our scene that there's a lot of depth to it where I don't feel like I have to do the same bands every year. I mean, I'm bringing Freedom Hawk back
I know that's
on,
cool.
on a 2 year
Awesome.
wait, but guess what? It's fucking Freedom Hawk.
I know, man.
Like, why would I not? You know what I mean? They're my
Yeah.
buddies. They're one of the best bands. Every single album they put out is
Yeah.
really good. I hit up Kaz with Sasquatch. Come, is Keith ready? Every couple months, he's like, no, 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 we got to wait for him if he ever is. And, I'm like, fuck. I
I'm
love
excited
Sasquatch
about that,
anytime,
man.
any day. You know what I mean? But I try not to. I don't do bands back to back years unless they're a bigger band, and I really don't even want to do it every 2 years. So I got
Freedom
another
Hawk
band
is a
hitting
good
me
deal.
hard about coming back, and they're a great band. I love them, and they're good supporters. But I'm like, damn it, dude! It's really supposed to be a 2 year wait. So it's painful actually. This part of the process now because I'm running. I have less. I've really only have like 6, 7 spots left. So, and some of those are where they're reserved, we'll say, for now, you know.
Yeah,
But a lot of good bands hit me up about playing, and I can't. I'm like, I already got like a list because I visualize. I put a list. I
there's
do add things to the list. Things happen. Solace happened.
there's
I had my thoughts I was gonna put on the list, and just find out if they're even fucking active. You know what I mean?
do you
And
think
then
no
Justin chimed in on one of my postings, and I'm like, oh. So I mean, I'm tick 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 tick, tick, for a day or two. Next thing I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it.
I
I
love it.
got Frank Solace up for I'm like, fuck yeah.
That's so cool.
So, so yeah, but most of the time, and I get good smaller bands too, but the
Yeah,
the smaller bands are going to bring here more often are going to be from overseas. Um,
cool.
I'm a massive believer in Saturna. That guy
Yeah,
can
I'm
sing
excited.
live. I've already had them,
Yeah,
and
right.
Brian does rock 2. So I tried to get him last year, but this time, thanks to Buddy Donner, he over at Glory and Death, who's in the band Sabbath Buddy Sabbath, plays tomorrow night. It's a little show I helped put
That
together
isn't
with Connell
Sonolith playing at that
and
show too?
Worshiper. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
and
And
Worshiper, cool.
Buddy, I hit up Buddy and said, Buddy, I got this great band that wants to do 7 days, in the West Coast, like Mr. Bison did this past year, and put those two together. He talked, and next thing you know, we got something set up, and he set it up with Phantom Hound, which is a band I like, a small band too,
Yeah,
that
I'll
I
be
liked
checking them
from the
out.
beginning. And so I was like, all right, we'll bring the boys down, So there'll probably be a cool one to kind of kick off a night. I'm thinking,
Oh yeah.
yeah. And Phantom Hound's, folks, don't sleep on Phantom Hound. The literally both albums strong, a
Oh,
little bit of a grungy edge, and some of the guitars are
cool.
actually the vocals a little
Good.
bit filings a little bit on this recent album. But yeah, really good band. But Saturna and Huanastone, you mentioned them earlier. So you love Son of Juno, right? That album's the shit. right?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Yeah,
Right.
I've listened to it many.
So
Yeah,
now
it's
do
like
this. Listen to the album before it.
okay.
Also,
Yeah, I have listened to,
that's
but
what.
you know what? Yeah, but like I need to listen to it more. Man,
That's
there's not
my
enough
entry
time,
point.
bud. God, there's so like
I know,
the
but yeah, you
biggest
got plenty of
tragedy in
time.
my
So
life was I spent 8 hours in this freaking dispensary and got to listen to fucking
you gotta make
EDM and
money.
hip hop. I know, but
Oh,
couldn't I listen to good music while I made money?
put a Huanastone in.
I made him listen. I made him listen to the Sergeant Thunderhoof Howling Giant split today, and those kids were like, "That's pretty good. I like it."
That's
I'm
an
like, I
interesting one to
know.
play for them. It's too long of a song for them. You can't do that to those kids.
They're in a dispensary. They're trapped, John. They have nowhere to go.
You gotta love them, not
They
force
kind
them.
of liked it, and they didn't. Nobody like took a swing at me or like they didn't try to trap me in the safe room or take away
Right.
my Bluetooth access. So,
Huanastone, the album before the one you love so much,
yeah.
play that.
Okay.
And it's very accessible. Its vocals are very good. The
Yeah.
production's pristine. They do a great job of separation, giving some spacing to
Okay.
instruments, spacing to the instruments, which is like classic rock made
Yes.
music.
All
Rival
right.
Sons, Zeppelin, Sabbath, they all done that kind of thing.
Okay.
And Huanastone has that where it's not all four instruments, including vocals, going at the same time. And that's part of this creativity. I think we need more and more bands continue to do the art of creating good rock and roll music more than just jam, and not even have like an actual chorus and things like that. It's Huanastone does a good job of the breathing spots, and so I think they're going to shock the fuck out of people. Saturna's going to blow people away.
I'm excited.
I mean, they just have that kind of music that it's normies could like even. I mean,
Yeah, John, I think of the heavy underground people that I admire and listen to their music suggestions. Your suggestions are like, if things were right, the music that you turn people onto would be on the radio. It's accessible in a good way. It's an accessible but not compromising music that you like. Luna Soul is a good example. I can't tell you how much I adore the new Godzillionaire album. I could never talk about it enough, and those guys are the coolest guys. But like, when I come home and Andrea has an album on, like she's listening to Godzillionaire, then I'm like, okay, man, she's fucking serious.
Yeah.
Like, or who else? I played that for this lady at work. She's a Grateful Dead fan, and she was like, God, I don't know who this is, but I really like this album. I'm like, really? I was like, okay, fucking cool.
And that was Godzillionaire.
Yeah, but the slower, more heartfelt type songs, those album, and so you talked about the expansion of like the heavy underground isn't just a bunch of Black Sabbath clones. And man, you do a great job of like exposing the other side of that. Is that
I think that there's a lot of Americans and others, but let's stick with America for a minute because we've been in trouble when it comes to rock and roll. I'm just gonna continue to tell people it's all a fucking fix. Follow the money.
Yeah.
But there's generations of people that like a certain kind of rock and roll that harkens back literally our lifeline, our bloodline of jazz and blues, which is an intermingling of white and black forever. Yeah. I mean, and of course, in that music, of course, culminates for probably classical or some craziness, but in country music as well, is the organic aspects of it, of this music, in less computers, less production. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have bands that they can't duplicate what they have on the album because they use two guitar sound in some songs, while they only really have one guitarist on stage, and so you can kind of miss the like extra riff that's happening.
Those fills are gone, and sure.
Yeah, and some things like that, but it's not at that level that these big three and I'm talking 3 record labels controls nearly everything. forget the ripples and writing
Right,
easies.
right.
And all, they are nothing
It's very small,
compared
very
to
small.
what the
Right.
power of Universal and Sony, these things, it's insanity. The capital and the alignments and the
Yeah, it's obvious.
Yeah, but the music that I think more and more people will dig, it's just we have it. It's just no one knows about it.
So,
And I'll tell you, I bring up his name. Oh, I'm gonna piss some people off. Eddie Trunk.
who?
Eddie
Scott
Trunk.
Spires is already like, what the fuck?
I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
Neil's like, why is he bringing it up?
No, Neil's even matter. You're right.
Guys, I'm sorry. But listen, I got a point to this. Eddie was pressured into doing a new music day on his show, which is like, of course, he said he's going to do it forever. And I didn't listen. I don't even have the show.
Yeah,
so I'm just telling you.
I've never heard his show.
I read, what people in the Eddie Trunk group say, because I keep up with some stuff because, I get my toes in a lot of water. And yeah, it went over really well. People were like, holy shit, thank God someone did this. I mean, there's a certain time. Some people will forever be on the crotch of rat and poison, or whatever. I mean, and that's just their identity.
What a perfect way to put it.
Yeah,
on the cod piece of rat.
They're on the cod piece of wasp forever. I get it, but there's some that are like they're giving these little glimmers of hope. Someone gives them a band, they're like, not bad. Some of them have a psychological thing where they compare immediately, and they're done if they do that. Like, it's like you have to literally tell them, no. No one was telling you to complain, to compare it to Led Zeppelin. God, why would you do that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so some people don't want to know new music, and that's fine. But there's a lot of people that just have never given it. It's not organically around them. This is not paid for anymore. There's no money in it.
It's been interesting.
Some other things.
Yeah, it was interesting. My kids, Ludisol and Godzillionaire did back-to-back shows in Denver and Fort Collins a couple weeks ago, and I got to go to those shows and like have my name attached to it somehow. I don't know. I don't.
Oh, I saw that.
But
That's
they
cool.
they were super cool about
Snowy?
doing that. It was, what was that?
Was it snowy?
Yeah, it snowed the first night, but Godzillionaire got there through Kansas. But my kids came to the show. One of my kids came to the first show, another kid came to the second show, and they are EDM kids. And then my sister came to the last show, and like my first kid was like, I have to admit, those bands are really good, and I really liked it. We really love Lunasol, and I'll go see Lunasol anytime they play. And I was like, well, there you go. They were like, we really like Dave Angstrom. We like that guy playing the guitar. He was really cool.
He's a good showman.
He's such a great showman, right? Yeah. So, and then my sister, like, Godzillionaire played their, the slower song. I'm failing on song name, but Disillusionment, I think. And like my sister's like got tears going, and it's like, she's just like, this is, and like, it's cool to see, like you said, if people are actually exposed to the music, there's a lot to like out there.
There is, but our scene is our own worst enemy too. A lot of people just blindly, they got these opportunities to maybe get someone to listen to something good outside their norm, and they give them their buddy's band instead. Nothing wrong with their buddy's band, but you want these people to really listen. You got to bring them. You got to give them some of your best. Like immediately. I mean, I make no secret about it. My Uber or Lyft ride down to Vamped is about 12, 14 minutes.
I love your cab stories, John. We should do a show from the cab.
I really wish you could see me in action and see the people in action. I think it'd be a great show. Anyways. I almost always lead them in with Rival Sons. It personifies rock, and I give them an upbeat, Pressure and Time, which actually shows off the spacing of instruments at times, and vocal level is soulful, and up there. And then I'll go in after that. It could be anything from, Sasquatch, the Dirty Streets, to Villagers of Ioannina City. I'll
I
pop
love
that
it.
shit on there for people like from another country. I'll do that all the time. Like, all right, I got a Grease band here
Yeah, I'd
from a
love to
little
do
village.
that.
And you got to give them a story sometimes. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just you just tell them to turn it up, and you just try to shut up. Yeah.
Somebody at work was giving me a hard time the other day. I had a Black Capricorn album on, and this guy
Okay.
came in. It was very interesting. I had two immediate reactions from customers, and the first guy came in, and he was a younger guy, and he was like, "Are you listening to Electric Wizard?" And I was like, "You know who Electric Wizard
Yeah, that's
is?"
impressive. Yeah.
And then the next guy said something about Black Sabbath and but it was oh shit, I forgot my point. But
Just tell them they're all in the same family tree. That's
it's interesting to like get reactions from people who aren't used to hearing rock music, though. That's cool. Fuck, I forgot what the point was. I haven't even smoked weed for at least an hour and 5 minutes.
Oh god,
because that's how long we've been on. So
yeah, but you probably smoked
it's probably an hour and 7 minutes. I took a break for 2 minutes, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, the music's there. It's just, anyways, I try to do my best on my end, and I appreciate all the very kind words about, what I try to do musically, as far as getting out there. And I don't promote every single band and post. I don't even post as much lately. I feel like I need to post more songs coming up here. But a couple people,
I do too.
If I post songs, they'll be like, "Hey, you think you can get them for Planet Is Rock?" That's like the first words out of their mouth.
Dude, I bet every time you post a song, people are like, "He's dropping a hint."
Yeah.
Because I know that's exactly what I think too. So I'm like, "What's John saying?"
The other day, and someone's like, "That's a bucket list." I'm like, anyways, sometimes they are tests, quite honestly, but whatever.
No, I think that's probably does give you like a barometer if people are just, ignore it. Maybe that's not the thing. But if you got like 45 reactions and people are like, "God damn, what the hell is this?" I want to, sure.
Yeah. Or sometimes people they already like them and they make it well known.
And I will always, I know. I'm a serial liker on Facebook.
I got cut off every once in a while from it.
So it's like, sorry, I'm so positive.
Oh my god! But I think it's too many in like within a minute segment. I don't know. It's stupid. So I don't like as much stuff now.
Well, John, where can people get tickets for your festival this year?
It is on Eventbrite.
Yep.
So Eventbrite's all one word, and Bright spelled BRIT.
Cool. And John, do you have Instagram presence? I'm just getting into it. You're on Instagram. That's right. We've been doing you sent me the collaboration things. Yeah. I'm like, I gotta figure out Instagram.
Vegas
so
Rock
I'm getting
Revolution.
on it now. Yeah.
Vegas Rock Revolution on Instagram.
Hell yeah.
As well. Facebook got Vegas Rock Revolution and Planet Is Rock, and of course my own page.
I'm so excited. Man, do you want to close with anything, John? Is there anything you want to get out there? You want to say something about a particular band or give someone a shout out or?
Well, I'll just say that, we talked earlier about the Well, but the last band announcements, Swan Valley Heights, I'm really bringing in them, and I like Heavy Psych a lot. And
I
so
do too.
last year,
I do too.
Bison, Germ as, at least some of it is Heavy Psych, Iota, some of it is, and this is a band that's pure, Heavy Psych is there's no also this, it's that, and then it may have some tinges of this or that, but those songs are almost all are 8 minutes to 13 minutes long. So they're going to play 5 songs unless
that's the kind of stuff I love. That's the kind of stuff that got me into the scene in the first place. So yes, really for me, that's stuff. Yeah, I've liked that band for a long time, and when I saw them appear, dude, it's insane. It's Heavy Eyes, with such a good band, and like Isaac, it's crazy.
Yeah, Isaac is it's full octane. It's like Red Fang, but with the gas pedal down more. versus some of the Red Fangs doing all these other things. They're definitely a hard charging band out of Italy. They've been around for like 12 years. They were Small Stone at one time. They're on Heavy Psych now.
Oh
They
yeah,
actually reached out to me last year about it. And I said, well, I can't do it this, but let's keep it on next year. And then I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think you guys are going to fill the Italian slot. So we
love
called
this.
that.
Dude, I love the Italian slot.
Black Elephant, the
Dude,
Mr.
Black
Bryson, to Isaac. So 3 Italian bands. And I got 3 Canadian bands now in a row.
I know, man. That's awesome.
Dude, that band Mooch, I could slide you 5 songs. And I think you'd be like, oh, wow.
All right, well, do it.
And
Do
they're
it because I'm not familiar with them. So do that. I obviously, man, I'm gonna torture my coworkers tomorrow with a lot of this music.
Play the Huanastone album that you haven't heard before.
Dude, they'll love it.
And wait till your Mooch. Because they have some like normal kind of laid back rock songs too, but it is classic rock personified good stuff that doesn't feel cheesy classic rock, but it has all those elements of it. And they're young cats out of Canada.
Right on. Well, good. Yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah. I'd love to see the kids getting involved.
And they have songs that, if I had a radio station, absolutely would be on there. Like catchy stuff. I even heard one time, one of their songs, I was like, that's a little bit like Masters of Reality kind of vibe on there.
Oh,
like,
like
that's
those
one
guys.
of the biggest compliments we can get. I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that band.
So I'm really fired up about them. And St. Karloff, it's a band I've known about, since 2018 or 2019. They put out this album that the first song they put out, it was a very Sabbathy song, and I fucking love it. Oh my God.
And they had a good album last year too.
Really? This latest album they did,
so good.
Really expanded a lot. Really.
Yeah, bud.
I mean, even have like psychedelic tinges.
Yeah.
Slow down psychedelic tinges some even. So
yeah. I think several of these bands do, and I love that part. Although I'm telling you, next year I'm probably going to lay off the mushrooms and probably just stick with the smoking area.
Whatever you got to do, man. It's your trip. Quote unquote.
Literally. Hey, John, I really appreciate you taking the time, bud. I sure hope we get to do a few more of these before next January. But I would, yeah, man, I got some ideas. I have some stuff I want to run by you and see if you'd be interested in doing. So, and it'd help get the word out about your show too. So
cool.
All right,
Sounds good. Man, it's always good hanging out there, brother.
Dude, I'm so glad we got to talk, man. I've missed you since Planet Does Rock, and if that sounds corny, I don't care, bud. It's always fucking a blast talking to you, man.
Always a blast. We'll talk here soon, and thanks for everything you do, man.
Thank you, John. Thank you, man. Thanks for providing a scene for me to be fucking excited about.
Absolutely. And hey, show me your shirt.
Dude, all right. I'm not wearing pants, everybody. No, just kidding. Look at this shirt. I
actually came up with the concept, and then Joey Riddell is the one to put it together.
Like the
it's
alien.
A bunch of rockers running into some aliens, and they're all drinking.
Dude, it's...
And
I get comments on this shirt. People are like, what is that? That shirt's cool. It's like, the colors are beautiful, too.
The artist, Joey Riddell, he asked me, he goes, hey, am I going to be able to do the artwork again this year for the next one? I'm like, awesome. It's awesome. He brought it up, and I didn't have to go.
All right, here's a massively
work. Here's mine.
I love that one. Okay, so you ran out of extra large with the one with the girl with the horns. Is there any chance you're going to reprint any of those shirts?
You know what? I'm going to take inventory in the next day or two, and extra larges, there weren't almost anything left.
Yeah, I know. Andrea was super disappointed she didn't get that shirt. Yeah. I was like, well, you should have bought it. No, I didn't say anything. Just kidding, babe.
Hit me up and I can look. All
right, cool.
At some point in time, maybe I put something on that other page where, someone would just get it made to order or something. So
yeah, that would be cool. The designs were amazing, and I think, so you could probably, man, I probably would like to pick up. Yeah, I would like that. I want that one.
Yeah, they all have a lineup on the back.
Dude, I want that. And like you're there, and like there's so much merch, and there's like, gosh, man, it's like, I kind of like win the lotto before I go next year.
And I got to thank everyone that came for how much support they gave. Forget me when it comes to merch, all that, which is great because I need that as to balance the sheets. the bands.
Cool.
You know, I check with the bands to see how they do and all that. And the ones that bring the proper amount of merch, they do really good.
Good.
Like,
There was a
really good.
lot of good stuff.
And that's important. I'm going to have to encourage some of the international bands to do what Sergeant Thunderhoof did. They listened early on and did it. You got to send your stuff early. You send it before because you want to bring it with you. There's some, you know,
Shit fucking hassle.
You send it beforehand so that way you got it. And you know that in that box is X amount of dollars to make up for some of the shortfalls of the other parts of cost.
Dude, and we're starving for that kind of stuff too. It's like, man, bring us that cool
how
European
are you gonna
shit.
get a CD from a band from, you know, Spain, or
right?
Whatever, you know, I mean, you're gonna buy a CD online. It's gonna, you know, because they don't. A lot of these do not have U.S. distribution either.
No, I know, man. I have paid, you know, just as much for the album as I have for the shipping on several occasions. Yeah.
So it'll be good. I even came up with the idea, and we'll see if I can pull this off. Potentially trying to get a preview CD where I'll have all the bands in one CD where I can put it out. You know, around wherever.
That would be awesome, man.
But yeah, we'll figure out a few things along the way. We're running early, but it's been humbling to see the feedback and ticket sales and everything else.
Cool.
There's only a certain amount of tickets I could sell.
But
I'm going to keep some for the walk up, but yeah, it
was the best weekend. I had the best weekend. I can't tell you how like stoked I am that you do this. It's like,
cool.
Like I know I've said this before and maybe somebody rolls their eyes, but in all seriousness, like your festival last year was a life-changing event for me. And like the continued, it's like I have this community that I really like.
Yeah.
I don't have in Denver, you know? It's like, it's amazing. It is.
It's the family you get to choose.
Yeah, it is. And like, I know people say that, but it's not like the work version of that bullshit either. It's like really like, I mean, I could just name a bunch of people, but I love seeing all the people and, you know, like high five and giving people hugs and smoking weed with people and how, you know, drinking a Red Bull while people have some drinks and shit. But it's like, so thank you, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, man. And you get it. And that's what's cool. And I think more people are getting it, that it's just a musical adventure party.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's a party.
Yeah.
And it's not an all day thing. So
no, and it's not like not like a party like people are just getting like wasted. You know, it's a party like it's exactly. like if it's like it's like if you went to a high school reunion with people you liked.
Yeah, which I do.
Oh, you're so lucky.
No, I have a little.
Oh, that's right. Group. I've met some of your friends and they're all super cool.
Yeah, you met two of them already. He's been the last 2 years. So
tell those dudes I said hi. Tell them I said hi.
Absolutely.
All right,
but
my man.
Anyways, it's just a fun scene, and I'm looking forward to hanging out at Ripple Fest. I'll be down there as I always am. I've been every year. Big supporter of Ryan. Ryan and I were just texting today about some stuff.
I haven't officially announced this. I don't think anybody cares, but like, yeah, we're gonna have to skip Ripple Fest this year, man. We're like, we're getting married this year, and so we got some other priorities. We'll do Ripple Fest, I'm sure, that the year after. But I have tickets for your show, bud. We'll see you in January for sure.
Yeah. Always good to see you. We'll have a good time, and thanks again, brother, for everything.
Dude, thank you so much for everything, John. I will hang on for 1 second. I'm going to let everybody go. Hey, this was John Gist, and I'm Sean, and this is the Heavy Underground Farm Report, and we're happy to talk about Planet Desert Rock Weekend 6. So thanks for tuning in, y'all. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah!